All right, guys. So in the first video, we talked about the 10 key factors affecting productivity. We said employee selection, training, supervision, scheduling, breaks, and we got about halfway through morale. So again, remember, morale is a big deal when it comes to productivity, and it's an indicator of good morale or morale. Period is your turnover rate. You got a high turnover, you got bad morale. You got low turnover, you got good morale. All right. So let's continue on that. How do we determine all that? All right. So we need to be able to have some kind of way of determining our turnover. All right. If you say, well, we lost 3 people last week during the month, but you got 40 people, that's not that high of a turnover rate. But if you got 6 people and you had 3 of them leave, that's a really high turnover. All right. So you might have generally speaking 10 people, and you had 2 leave. You hired 2 more. One of them lasted a day. That's 3 people leaving. All right. So it's hard to keep track of this, and we have some formulas to do so. We have the number of employees separated. So remember, in my example, that was 3, and the number of employees in the workforce, I said 10, and then we divide the part divided by a whole. Part being how many separated, how many in the workforce. So in this case, we have 35 divided by 50, and up with 70%. Now, how do we come up with this number? For my example, I use 10. Here we're using 50. How do I come up with that number? We can't just say on any given day we have 50 people, because we had 50 people today. We had 54 people out last week, and now we have tomorrow we got 6 coming in. This will have 56. So how do we determine the number to use to determine our turnover rate? Well, that's the next slide. So what we're going to do is beginning this period, the month, beginning employees plus the ending employees divided by 2, because we're getting an average, right? So 1 plus 1, number plus number, 2 numbers, divided by 2, because there's 2 numbers, equals the number of employees. It sounds simple, but if you don't do this right, your other math is going to be skewed. So let's do this. So 40 plus 50, at the beginning of the month we had 40, at the end of the month we had 50, divide that by 2, we have 45. This 40 plus 50 is 90, divided by 2 is 45, all right? So who cares? What's this 45? That 45 is what we put into right here. Can you see yes, I think you can. All right, so that's the number you put in right here, all right? You can't, like I said, you can't just arbitrarily pick a number, all right? Use the math, all right? Moving forward. Okay, so that was it for morale as far as being a influence on or key factors determining productivity. The menu is another one. If you have a massive menu with 100 pages and 100 items per page, that is going to be a low productivity kitchen, all right? It's going to be less efficient, and things are going to take time, less crossover prep. It's going to take time, all right? So making sure that you plan the menu. When I plan a menu, I try to make sure that any item that requires prep, I have at least 3 items on the menu that have it. All right. Now, there was always an exception for signature items and stuff like that. If I'm not going to have 3 menu items with fillets on there, but you understand what I'm getting at. All right. So moving forward. All right. So it's a lot easier to be productive for this than it is for this. All right. I've done this. That's not mine. Ours were just as fancy, if not fancier. That takes a long time. And however, you might be in the business of producing this, and that's the productivity that's going to be good. That's going to be expected for your menu, but it is a consideration. All right, you don't want to go crazy. The worst thing is a new chef coming from somewhere else. He's got a signature dish that he wants to bring from this place, which is a totally different establishment than what you are. He wants to bring it in. And yes, that item was local where he was in Florida, but it ain't local here. And it's hard to do all that stuff. I'm talking about food costs now, but you don't necessarily always want that signature item if it doesn't make sense, if it's going to influence your productivity. Okay, so next one is convenience food versus scratch preparation. Now, we're not just talking about, we're talking about buying something pre-made or making it in-house. All right, so we're talking about efficiencies here, right? And productivity. It might be cheaper to buy something, to buy ingredients and have your people make it, but it'll affect productivity to the point where it's really not going to be cheaper. All right, you have to take into consideration the labor, right? You might appear to be cheaper, but you have to do a full-on make or buy analysis, figure in the labor, how much time it takes, waste, everything, or food cost, or whatever. Sometimes it's cheaper to buy things pre-made because of the quality. So you have to make sure that you're worried about the quality and the cost as well when you're figuring out that. All right, so equipment or tools. All right, you got to give the people the tools they need to do the job. I've been many places where I was given crap tools and I was told with a straight face by the manager that it's a poor workman that complains about his tools. Well, it's an even poorer manager that gives his worker crap tools. Give the people what they need. We're talking productivity here, right? Is this as productive as this? Absolutely not. Now, there might be a time and a place for this, but this is always going to be more productive, right? If you refuse to get this because that thing cost $1,000 and this costs $12, and you think you're patting yourself on the back because you're saving money, you're really not, because you're really messing up your productivity. All right, move forward. Service level desired. Service level is going to determine our productivity. It is a lot simpler and easier to offer this than this. Now, understand that or low productivity because of higher standards is not necessarily a bad thing, because we're in the business. Oops. We're in this business, right? If everybody says, well, that's very low production, so we can't do it, or productivity, we can't do it, then there would be no black tie restaurants. There's a market for black tie restaurants. So you have to understand what the normal is. Okay, so we're going to get into that. So we're going to measure productivity by labor cost percentage, sales per labor hour, labor dollars per guest served, guests served per labor hour, and revenue per available seat hour. All right. I'm briefly going to go over these. They're more detailed in the book. It's kind of backwards for me to spend time on other things and not this, but these take a long time to explain. All right. So quickly, though, labor cost percentage, just like food cost percentage, part divided by the whole. The part in food cost percentage is the food cost, and the part for labor cost percentage is the labor. Divided by what? Divided by total sales revenue, right? Sales per labor hour is total sales divided by labor hour used. So we made $10,000 and we had 100 hours of man hours to do that, then we can do the math. Labor dollars per guest served. Now, not everybody's going to do all of these. All right, some people will find some managers will find one that they feel best represents what the information that they want to have to see how well they're doing. All right. So moving forward, guests served per labor dollar. Same thing. The part there is the guest served. Labor dollar is our cost of labor is the whole. Guests served per labor hour. Same thing, except instead of doing dollars, we're doing hours. And then RevPASH is revenue per available seat hour. Revenue divided by the amount of seat hours. There's different ways to figure out seat hours. It's in the book. There's not a slide for that. I apologize. But if you have any questions, just reach out. All right, moving forward. I want to do that. All right, so measuring current productivity. Many operators prefer to compute the productivity on a daily basis rather than weekly or monthly, because it always changes, right? You really want to know how we're doing right now. All right, this can easily be done by using a 6-column form, and we're going to show you that. So 6 columns. We got 2, 4, 6. Today, to date, cost of labor, cost of sale, or sales, not cost of sales, but sales, and then labor cost percentage. All right, those are good information to know what our productivity is. All right, so determining the cost of labor category by labor category, you can, except for RevPath, you can choose any one of those other things, and you can divide that instead of the entire labor of the restaurant. You can do it by front of the house, back of the house, line, prep. And why would you want to do that? Well, sometimes you want to see how productive each place is. You're not using those items and compare. If I say, well, the productivity for the line is a lot higher than it is for this for prep, of course it's going to be different. But what you want is you're maintaining that on a daily basis or a weekly basis, so you can judge it against itself. So if you see a rise, you know you have a problem. Okay. Okay, so we have managing payroll costs. We have a 4-step process. Step 1 is determine productivity standards. Forecast sales volume is step 2. Step 3 is sales or schedule employees using productivity standards and analyze results. So step 1, productivity standards defined by management's view of what consists of appropriate productivity ratio. All right, so much per so much labor. All right, so many tables for so many servers, so many covers for so many people on the line, whatever. All right, productivity standards set what the managers should reasonably expect in the way of output by labor. Why is that important? For the next step, forecasting the sales volume. We talked about forecasting a lot. If I know how many people we can expect and I have those ratios down, then I can schedule accordingly. And that's the next step. Step 3. Well, step 3 and step 4 together. So you schedule by using the productivity standards against the projections. And then you analyze the results. Actual amount, budgeted amount, percentage of budget. All right. I expected this. I used that. It was exactly the same. We're good. It was less or more, then it's going to be a percentage of the budget. Okay. So managing payroll cost, fixed cost, improve productivity, increase sales volume, combine jobs to eliminate fixed positions, and reduce wages to fixed payroll employees. All right. Now, variable, improve productivity, schedule appropriately, and adjust changes to sales volume, combine jobs to eliminate variable positions. Now, quite frankly, you probably would want to do one or the other. You don't want to. You want to probably get rid of some of your. Well, it depends. It depends on a lot of different stuff, and I'm running out of time. But you notice you have the same thing here. You might want to keep your fixed payroll people and eliminate some of your variables, or you might want to eliminate some of your fixed if you've got 4 exempt employees, but you really only need 3, then you'll get rid of one. All right. So reducing labor cost. One way to do it is employee empowerment, giving people the power and the authority to make decisions on their own. Managers often find that offering a well-planned, consistently delivered training program and empowering employee combined with empowering employees will result in a loyal, committed workforce and that is productive, supportive to management, and willing to go the extra mile. All right, but not by abusing them, but by doing what that just said. All right, I think that's it. Okay, so that's it. We'll have, as usual, have a quiz, our lovely assignments that we're used to, and a discussion. All right, I will see you in the discussion.